Under the inky black canvas of space, the USS Retribution sailed silently, its sleek hull reflecting the sparse twinkling of distant stars. Captain Elias Vance stood at the viewport of the command deck, his gaze fixed on the vast void that stretched endlessly before him. The cold touch of the glass against his palm brought a stark reminder of the isolation inherent in space travel. The bridge was dimly lit, illuminated only by the soft glow of navigation panels and the occasional flicker of a status indicator. This subtle lighting cast long shadows across the floor, enveloping the crew in a shroud of anticipation and unspoken tension. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates," Lieutenant Adler reported, his voice a calm contrast to the charged silence. He stood by the navigation console, his eyes never straying from the blinking cursors on his screen. Elias turned slowly from the viewport, his presence commanding yet accessible, a balance honed by years of deep space assignments. "Keep the engines at minimal thrust. We proceed with caution," he instructed, his tone firm but not overbearing. The faint aroma of brewed coffee mingled with the recycled air, a comforting scent that somehow underscored their remoteness from Earth. Each breath felt heavy with responsibility as Elias contemplated the mission ahead, a covert reconnaissance of an uncharted asteroid belt rumored to harbor valuable minerals. "Sir, sensors detect irregular formations within the belt, possible signs of mineral deposits," Ensign Rowe chimed in from his station, his voice tinged with restrained excitement. Elias nodded, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Prepare to deploy probes. I want a full spectral analysis. Let's find out what secrets are hidden among those rocks." As the crew executed his commands with practiced efficiency, Elias's thoughts drifted to the implications of their find. Success could mean a vital resource boon for Earth, which had been reeling under energy shortages. Failure was not an option he permitted himself to consider. The bridge fell into a rhythm of hushed activity, the soft tapping of keys and the whisper of exchanged confirmations, painting an auditory backdrop to the visual ballet of stars and asteroids on the main display. "Probes away, Captain. Awaiting data retrieval," Adler updated, his posture relaxed but attentive. Elias returned his gaze to the endless space beyond the glass, a frontier as daunting as it was alluring. His reflection stared back at him, a silent affirmation of the burden of command. Here, amidst the desolation of space, humanity's quest for survival continued, and he was at the helm of that relentless pursuit. "Let's see what the universe has in store for us today," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. The words, though softly spoken, seemed to echo through the bridge, a subtle reminder of the thin line between the known and the unknown. As the first set of data began streaming in, Elias felt the familiar thrill of discovery, a sensation that never dimmed no matter how many missions he undertook. The potential of what might be found in the asteroid belt held the promise of not just resources but also of hope, a commodity perhaps more valuable than any mineral they might mine from the cold rocks drifting silently through space. As data from the deployed probes began to filter in, the atmosphere on the USS Retribution's bridge shifted from one of subdued anticipation to focused analysis. Captain Elias Vance reviewed the incoming spectral analysis with a critical eye, his brow furrowed as he absorbed the complex information. "Results are promising, Captain," Lieutenant Adler reported, scrolling through the dense graphs and charts. "The asteroid belt contains high concentrations of iridium and palladium, more than we projected." Elias nodded, a thoughtful expression settling over his features. "Good. Mark the richest veins for potential mining operations, but keep an eye out for anomalies. Anything out of ordinary could be crucial." As Adler relayed the coordinates to Ensign Rowe, the subtle scent of hot electronics permeated the bridge, a reminder of the ship's ceaseless activity. Rowe's fingers danced across the console, inputting data with meticulous care, ensuring no detail was overlooked. The ship approached a particularly large asteroid, its surface a jagged tapestry of rock and ice, reflecting the ship's lights in unpredictable flares. "Adjusting course to get a closer look," Rowe announced, his voice steady despite the proximity to the massive rock. Elias approached the main screen, his gaze locked on the irregular shape of the asteroid. "Zoom in here," he directed, pointing to a section that seemed to shimmer slightly differently than the surrounding terrain. The image on the screen expanded, revealing a network of what appeared to be tunnels, too symmetrical to be natural formations. "That's not typical asteroid behavior," Elias mused aloud, intrigued by the discovery. Commander Flynn joined him at the viewport, squinting at the image. "Looks almost like burrows or conduits. Could it be a sign of extraterrestrial activity?" "Possible," Elias conceded, turning to address his crew with a decisive tone. "We need to investigate this. Prepare a surface drone for immediate deployment. I want eyes in those tunnels." The crew's response was swift, a well-oiled response born of many missions and countless hours of training. Within minutes, a small drone was maneuvering its way towards the asteroid, its path lit by the faint glow of distant starlight. Watching the drone's progress, Elias felt the familiar mix of excitement and caution churn within him. The bridge was quiet, but for the soft clicking of controls and the gentle hiss of the air recycling system, each sound a note in the symphony of their operation. "Drone has reached the target area and is entering the tunnel now," Rowe updated, his voice breaking the tense silence. The screen displayed the drone's feed, a narrow illuminated path that snaked into the darkness of the asteroid. The walls of the tunnel were smooth, unnaturally so, suggesting intelligent design. "This is no mining operation or natural occurrence," Elias said, his voice laced with a mixture of wonder and resolve. "We may be on the brink of a discovery that could redefine our understanding of this sector." As they watched, the drone's lights flickered upon an object ahead, a metallic structure unlike any terrestrial machinery, its purpose inscrutable. Elias straightened, sensing the magnitude of the moment. "Whatever answers lie ahead, let's meet them with our minds open," he stated, a directive that was both a command and an invocation. The crew nodded, their faces a mirror of his own determination and awe as they delved deeper into the cosmic mystery unveiling before them. The drone's journey into the depths of the asteroid revealed more than cold rock. The tunnel's walls glistened with a metallic sheen, reflecting the drone's lights in a kaleidoscope of sharp, crystalline patterns. The air within the bridge of the USS Retribution was thick with anticipation as the crew leaned in, eyes wide, watching the live feed on the main display. Captain Elias Vance felt a prickling sensation on the back of his neck as the drone moved deeper into the structure. The silence was palpable, broken only by the soft whir of the drone's remote propulsors, captured by its onboard microphones, a sound oddly magnified by the asteroid's hollow spaces. "Temperature readings are dropping as we go deeper," Ensign Rowe reported, his voice low and even. He adjusted the display settings, enhancing the thermal imaging that painted the colder areas in ghostly blues and greens. The drone paused at a junction, its camera panning over two diverging paths. Elias stepped closer to the screen, considering their options. "Take the left tunnel," he decided, pointing to the route that showed irregular, pulsating energy readings, subtle yet distinctly rhythmic. As the drone obeyed, Commander Flynn's hand hovered over another console, ready to intervene should the probe encounter any threat. "Sensors are picking up a faint electromagnetic field," he noted. "It's unusual, structured almost like a pattern or code." The deeper the drone traveled, the stronger the electromagnetic signals became, vibrating through the drone's communication link with a soft resonance that suggested complexity and intent. Elias watched, fascinated and cautious, as the tunnel led them to an expansive chamber that lay hidden beneath the asteroid's unassuming exterior. The chamber was vast, the ceilings high above the drone's reach, supported by columns that spiraled up in elegant helices. Between them, the walls were lined with panels that pulsed with light and shadow, each pulse seemingly part of a larger sequence. "It looks like an archive," Lieutenant Harrow whispered, almost afraid to break the reverence of the moment. "Or a command center." Elias nodded, his focus absolute. "Can we interface with it? See if we can access the data?" Harrow worked quickly, deploying a secondary set of tools from the drone designed for electronic interfacing. Attempting to connect now, he murmured, his fingers deft on the controls. The bridge crew watched as the drone extended a delicate arm, touching one of the pulsating panels. The contact sparked a cascade of lights throughout the chamber, illuminating it in a breathtaking display of colors and patterns. "Elias, look at this," Flynn said, gesturing to a part of the display where symbols began to appear. They were alien, yet oddly familiar in their mathematical precision. As the symbols scrolled faster across the panel, Elias felt a deep sense of connection to this mysterious civilization. "They were reaching out," he said softly, his voice filled with awe and a profound respect. "Not just into space, but through time. We must ensure we honor this legacy." The discovery promised not just new technology or resources, but a deeper understanding of a long-lost people who had once mastered the stars. The challenge now was to comprehend their message, a task that Elias knew would define the next chapter of their journey. In the vast chamber of ancient secrets, the drone's delicate arm, under Captain Elias Vance's watchful command, reverently touched another panel. A cascade of geometric lights swirled around the room, each movement more purposeful than the last, weaving an intricate dance of history and technology. The air in the USS Retribution's bridge grew colder as the chamber deep within the asteroid exhaled a gust of ancient chilled air, carrying with it the dust of millennia. Elias, feeling the weight of untold epochs, watched as the symbols began to organize into a coherent narrative on the screen, diagrams of celestial mechanics, star maps of unknown galaxies, and complex equations describing the physics of cosmos. The patterns were not merely scientific, but artistic, blending form and function in a display that captivated the crew's senses. "Captain, the archive, it's not just recording data, it's telling a story," Lieutenant Harrow observed, his voice filled with reverence. "These patterns suggest a civilization deeply invested in the harmony of the universe." Elias nodded, his eyes reflecting the starlight emitted from the panel. They saw themselves as part of a grander design. This is more than discovery. It's a legacy. Commander Flynn focused on the practical implications. The technology necessary to create this, it could advance our own by centuries. We need to secure this knowledge. "Yes, but cautiously," Elias replied, the taste of responsibility bitter on his tongue. He turned to face his crew, their faces illuminated by the alien glow. "We're not just salvaging technology. We're preserving a civilization's heritage. Our approach must respect that." As the drone explored further, the chamber revealed a central console, more intricate than the rest, its surface alive with pulsating lights that responded to their proximity. Harrow suggested that console might centralize the control or data storage. "If we can interface directly." "Prepare a link-up," Elias instructed, knowing the risks of deeper integration with alien tech. "But monitor every transmission closely. Any sign of distress from the ship, we sever the connection immediately." The crew set to work, their movements precise, their conversation hushed as if the gravity of their discovery demanded a sacred silence. The link was established, and data began to flow like a river breaking through a dam. Texts, images, and sounds flooded their systems, overwhelming yet exhilarating. Suddenly the chamber brightened, a warm light suffusing the space, touching each crew member with an almost palpable presence. The light brought not just illumination but warmth, the stark coldness of space momentarily forgotten under its benign embrace. Elias watched, a mix of joy and caution in his heart. "It's welcoming us," he murmured, unsure whether he was stating a fact or expressing a hope. As they absorbed the flood of information, it became clear that this was no mere repository. It was a beacon, meant to guide and enlighten any who were wise enough to listen. Elias felt the profound connection to these long-lost voices, their whispers across time urging him to look beyond the data, to understand the ethos of their existence. "We are not conquerors of this knowledge, but its stewards," Elias stated to his crew, his voice steady and sure. "Let's carry this legacy forward with the honor it deserves." The mission had evolved, no longer just an exploration, but a pilgrimage into the heart of what it means to be a part of the cosmos. As Captain Elias Vance and his crew delved deeper into the illuminated archives, they found themselves at the threshold of a new and profound understanding. The console's glow intensified, casting a celestial shimmer over the bridge, where each member of the crew stood transfixed by the unfolding secrets. "This is incredible," Lieutenant Harrow breathed out, his voice barely above a whisper, as he navigated through streams of data that painted the story of a civilization not only advanced in technology, but in their philosophical pursuits of understanding the cosmos. Commander Flynn, maintaining a watchful oversight on the ship's systems, noted an unusual variance. "Captain, the energy levels from the archive are fluctuating unusually. It's as if it's reacting to our access." Elias, intrigued yet cautious, directed, "Measure all fluctuations. It might be communicating, or it could be a defense mechanism. We tread lightly." The air in the bridge crackled with a static charge, a tangible reminder of the unknown technology they were interfacing with. The scent of ozone became prominent, signaling a high-energy reaction that was not fully understood, adding a layer of tangibility to their high-stakes exploration. As Harrow continued to interface with the alien console, a series of holographic images suddenly burst into life around them, depicting what appeared to be the alien civilization in its zenith. The images were vivid, towering structures that defied gravity, gardens that thrived in the void of space, and beings of light and energy moving through phases of life that mirrored the stars themselves. "These are their memories, their history," Harrow said, stunned by the clarity and depth of the holograms. "They lived in harmony with the very forces of space, bending starlight and gravity as if it were no more challenging than weaving cloth." Elias stepped closer to a hologram, showing a gathering of these beings, their forms composed of light, yet expressing emotions universally recognizable: joy, curiosity, unity. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They understood something fundamental about the universe that we are just scratching the surface of. Suddenly the chamber darkened, and the holograms shifted to scenes of cataclysm, stars collapsing, black holes forming, and the inevitable decay of their star systems. The crew watched in silent horror and fascination as the civilization faced cosmic calamities, not with despair but with a dignified acceptance and a plan to preserve their legacy. This was their testament, Elias concluded, his voice somber. They knew their end was coming, and they chose to reach across time, to leave breadcrumbs for others to follow. "Captain, look at this," Flynn called out, directing Elias to a visual display on the console. It detailed schematics of a device seemingly capable of manipulating gravitational fields. "They left us the keys to their knowledge. This could be it, their legacy." Elias felt the weight of the moment, knowing that what they were discovering could change humanity's path. "We must use this knowledge responsibly. We honor their memory by ensuring this power is a beacon, not a demise." As the crew absorbed the gravity of their find, they prepared to delve deeper into the archives, each step guided by the light of a lost civilization, hoping to illuminate their way forward in the darkness of space. The mystery deepened, and with it, their resolve to forge a path that respected the past while boldly embracing the future. With the alien device's schematics now within their grasp, Captain Elias Vance and his crew stood at the precipice of a discovery that could redefine humanity's reach across the cosmos. The bridge of the USS Retribution was quiet, the crew subdued under the weight of responsibility as they contemplated their next steps. "We need to analyze this technology thoroughly," Elias stated, his gaze locked on the holographic display that continued to flicker with the light of a bygone civilization. "If we can harness this, it could mean a new era for human exploration." Lieutenant Harrow, tasked with deciphering the complex diagrams, nodded, his focus sharpened by the captain's resolve. "The device appears to manipulate gravitational fields, not just to withstand them, but to bend them to will. The potential applications are vast." Commander Flynn watched the data streams, his experience telling him that every discovery carried its risks. "We should consider containment protocols," he suggested cautiously. "If this technology went unchecked, it could be catastrophic." Elias appreciated Flynn's prudence. "Agreed. Set up simulations. Let's see the range of effects this device might have under controlled conditions. The scent of cold metal filled the air, a constant reminder of the sterile environment of the ship, contrasting sharply with the vibrant, life-affirming images that continued to play out on the screens around them. Each hologram was a window into a world where science and philosophy merged seamlessly, where beings had mastered their environment to an extent humans could only dream of. As Harrow initiated the first simulation, the data coalesced into a visual model of the device in action. The virtual representation showed a small, innocuous-looking engine that, when activated, produced a ripple effect, distorting the space around it like a pebble thrown into a still pond. Their understanding of physics was not just advanced, it was revolutionary, Harrow murmured, awestruck by the elegance and simplicity of the design. This could protect entire planets, redirect asteroids, maybe even stabilize star systems. The implications were immense, and as each member of the crew considered the possibilities, a mix of excitement and fear permeated their discussions. They were not just exploring history, they were touching the future. Suddenly the simulation flickered, showing a scenario where the gravitational fields became unstable, leading to a catastrophic collapse. The room grew colder as the visual rendered a stark warning. With great power came great risks. "We need strict controls, a fail-safe," Elias decided, his voice firm, cutting through the mounting anxiety. "This isn't just about harnessing power, it's about respecting it." As the team worked into the shifts, the stars outside seemed to watch silently, age-old sentinels to their endeavors. Each starburst and nebula felt like the echoing applause of the universe, urging them on, yet reminding them of the caution their extinct predecessors had endorsed. Elias stood back, watching his crew with pride and a poignant sense of duty. "This is more than science, it's a stewardship. We are the custodians of a legacy that reached through time to guide us. Let's ensure that this light, which they kindled so long ago, does not burn out on our watch." With renewed determination, the crew of the Retribution set forth to master the ancient technology, their minds alight with possibilities, and their spirits tempered by the wisdom of a lost civilization whose echoes shaped the very fabric of their mission. With the gravity of their discovery pressing upon them, Captain Elias Vance and his team set about implementing rigorous protocols to harness and control the alien technology safely. Each step was methodical, mirroring the care with which the ancient civilization had itself approached the manipulation of natural forces. "The simulations show potential, but we're skirting the edges of known physics," Lieutenant Harrow cautioned, reviewing the latest batch of tests. His eyes were weary, the strain of uncountable hours spent analyzing data evident in his posture. Commander Flynn, overseeing the integration of the new technology with the ship's existing systems, added, "We're charting unknown territory at every turn. The fail-safes are in place, but let's proceed incrementally." Elias nodded in agreement, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the console lights. "Begin with low-level experiments. Measure every outcome. We advance only when we're certain of stability," he instructed, his voice echoing slightly in the hushed atmosphere of the lab. The air was thick with the tang of ionization, a byproduct of the high-energy experiments now routine on the ship. It mingled with the sharper, cleaner notes of the ship's life support systems, creating a backdrop that was both alien and familiar. As the first controlled test commenced, the chamber housing the device was sealed off, observable only through thick protective glass. The device, a seemingly simple metallic sphere, was suspended at the chamber's center, inert, yet brimming with potential. "Activating at 5% capacity," Harrow announced, his hand hovering over the control switch. A palpable tension filled the room as he flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a gentle pulse emanated from the device, sending a visible wave through the surrounding space. The instrument spiked briefly, recording the disturbance in the fabric of reality itself. "Look at that," whispered Ensign Rowe, pointing at the monitoring equipment. "The spatial distortions are within safe limits, but they're unlike anything we've recorded before." Elias watched, his mind racing with the implications. "Increase to 10%, he directed, his tone steady despite the pounding of his heart. With each incremental increase, the effects became more pronounced. The air in the chamber shimmered, warped by the gravitational forces now at play. It was as if they were watching the birth of a miniature universe, governed by a physics rewritten by human hands. Stabilizing at 15%. "It's holding," Harrow reported, a note of relief in his voice. But just as he spoke, a sudden fluctuation caused the air to crackle, and a sharp scent of ozone filled the room. "Abort!" Elias commanded, his response immediate. The device powered down as quickly as it had activated, the room settling back into its previous state. The crew exhaled in unison, the tension breaking like a wave receding from the shore. Elias faced them, his expression grave yet filled with a fierce pride. "We've touched the surface of something monumental," he said, his voice resonant with the weight of their journey. "We proceed with caution, with respect. This technology is not just a tool. It's a testament to a civilization that reached across time to teach us, to warn us." As they left the lab, the mystery of the technology and its creators lingered in the air, a silent reminder of the bridge they were building between the past and the future. Their mission was far from over. It had evolved into a guardianship, a promise to tread gently in the footsteps of those who had traversed the stars long before humans had even looked up at the night sky. After the initial tests of the alien technology proved its potential and peril, Captain Elias Vance ordered a temporary cessation of all experiments. The Retribution drifted silently near the edge of the asteroid field, the starscape outside the viewport, a glittering tapestry against the infinite black. "We need to understand more before we proceed further," Elias stated during the briefing. His gaze swept over his crew, each member keenly aware of the unprecedented nature of their mission. Commander Flynn nodded, his thoughts aligning seamlessly with Elias's cautious approach. "I'll review all the safety protocols again. It's crucial that we not only respect this technology but also ensure it does not endanger the crew or the ship." In the quiet that followed, Lieutenant Harrow analyzed the data streams again, searching for any overlooked clues that might shed light on the alien device's operational principles. "There's a pattern here that we didn't notice before," Harrow murmured, zooming in on a complex sequence of energy pulses. Every activation coincides with a specific alignment of the asteroid field's magnetic anomalies. "Could the original users have been harnessing the field somehow?" Ensign Rowe suggested, intrigued by the possibility. Elias considered this, his mind tracing the implications. "Adjust our orbit to replicate one of these alignments. Let's see if the environmental conditions affect the device's behavior." The adjustment was subtle, yet the entire crew felt a shift, a deep, almost imperceptible thrum through the ship's structure as they moved into the new orbital path. The stars seemed to realign, casting new shadows and beams into the cold space surrounding them. As the device was activated once again, its response was markedly different. The chamber remained stable, the previous volatility absent. Instead, the device emitted a soft, radiant glow, pulsating gently like the heartbeat of a slumbering beast. "Stable readings across the board," Flynn reported, relief evident in his voice. "It seems we've found a way to harmonize with the technology." Elias watched the serene light show, a stark contrast to the earlier fluctuations. "Let's keep it at this level for now. Monitor continuously and record everything." The discovery that environmental conditions influenced the device opened new avenues of research. The crew set up round-the-clock observations, their earlier apprehension giving way to scientific curiosity and meticulous scrutiny. In the mess hall, over cups of steaming coffee, the conversation turned philosophical. "Do you think they left this technology as a test?" Harrow asked, stirring his drink thoughtfully. "Maybe it's not a test, but a lesson," Elias replied, his tone reflective. "About balance, about understanding the forces around us before we attempt to control them." The days stretched into weeks as the Retribution continued its vigil. Each pulse of the alien device now seemed like a communication, an invitation to delve deeper not only into the mechanics of the technology, but into the ethos of its creators. Outside, the asteroid field orbited in silent majesty, a constant reminder of the cosmos's vast mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Inside, amid the ship's softly humming systems and the quiet determination of its crew, Elias knew they were on the cusp of something profound, a bridge between the unknown and the known, guided by the legacy of a long-lost civilization reaching across the ages. As the USS Retribution maintained its harmonized orbit within the asteroid field, Captain Elias Vance felt the first tinge of real hope since their mission began. The ship's latest adjustments to the alien device had yielded consistent, stable results, and the risk of catastrophic failure had diminished. But Elias knew that the mystery they were unraveling was far from over. Elias stood on the observation deck watching the asteroids drift lazily by, their jagged surfaces catching the light from distant stars. The quiet contemplation was interrupted by Commander Flynn, who approached with a cautious stride. "Captain, the device has started to show new behaviors since we adjusted our orbit," Flynn reported, handing over a tablet displaying a series of complex graphs and readings. "It seems to be generating a field that extends beyond the ship, reaching out into the asteroid field." Elias raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Is it affecting the asteroids?" "Indirectly, yes," Flynn continued. "The field is interacting with the natural magnetic properties of the asteroids, creating a sort of network." Elias considered the implications, his gaze returning to the viewport. Could this have been its intended use? To create pathways or connections between celestial bodies? "It's possible," Flynn agreed. "We might be looking at a form of stellar engineering we've never imagined." The thought was exhilarating, but it bore the weight of enormous responsibility. Elias knew they needed more information. "Set up detailed monitoring on the field's effects. Let's see how far this network extends and what it truly does." Back on the bridge, Lieutenant Harrow and Ensign Rowe were deep into their analysis of the data collected from the expanded field. The air was filled with the scent of overheated electronics and stale coffee, a testament to the long hours the crew was putting in. "Captain, come take a look at this," Harrow called out, his voice tinged with excitement. Elias approached, looking over Harrow's shoulder at the screen. "What are we seeing here?" "These are energy pulses moving through the field, between the ship and the asteroids," Harrow explained, pointing at the pulsating lines connecting dots on the holographic display. "Every pulse seems to carry data, complex data, like the kind encoded in the device." Elias's mind raced with possibilities. "So we're part of a larger system now, is that it?" "Possibly," Harrow replied. "We could be integrated into a kind of cosmic circuit, designed to share or perhaps even preserve information across space." The bridge fell silent as the crew digested the idea. They were no longer merely explorers. They had become components in an ancient mechanism, perhaps set in motion by a civilization watching the same stars eons ago. "Let's proceed carefully," Elias decided. "We need to understand our role in this network before we go any further. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about how we fit into this cosmic puzzle." As the Retribution continued its delicate dance among the asteroids, each crew member felt the profound connection to something much greater than themselves. They were a link in an unimaginable chain, stretching through the void, tasked with uncovering a truth that spanned the galaxy. The mystery deepened, pulling them further into the cosmic weave that had entangled them so thoroughly. Continuing their journey deeper into the cosmic puzzle, Captain Elias Vance and his crew aboard the USS Retribution marveled at the unfolding network of energy pulses connecting the ship to the asteroids. With each passing hour, the bridge's screens lit up with new data, painting a complex picture of interstellar connectivity that defied all prior understanding of space dynamics. "Captain, the network seems to be stabilizing, growing stronger even," Lieutenant Harrow reported, adjusting the scope of the sensors to encompass a larger field of asteroids. The view on the screen resembled a neural network, each node pulsating with vibrant energy. Elias, standing firm with his arms crossed, watched the live feed, noting the rhythmic pulsing of the connections. "It's as if we're part of a living organism. This network, it's alive in its own right." Commander Flynn approached with a holographic tablet in hand, displaying a series of simulations based on their latest findings. If these models are correct, this network could be a form of ancient infrastructure, possibly designed for communication or maybe even transportation across vast interstellar distances. The idea seemed almost fantastical, yet the evidence was irrefutable and growing by the minute. The ship itself felt different, almost as if it had been accepted into this grand structure, its cold metal hallways now courses for the flow of ancient energies. Elias took a moment to glance out the viewport, where the ballet of asteroids carried on, oblivious to their new role in human discovery. Set up a continuous feedback loop. If this is a communication network, let's start talking. Harrow nodded, quickly programming the ship's systems to send a steady stream of basic mathematical data into the network, a universal language that might bridge the gap between their technology and the ancient system's design. As the data flowed out, subtle changes began to manifest. The air inside the bridge carried a slight vibration, a resonance with the energy pulses that now seemed to echo through the very structure of the retribution. Even the usual smells of machinery and recycled air gained a crispness, as if electrified by their proximity to the cosmic web. "Look at this," Ensign Rowe called out, gesturing to a new series of readings on his monitor. "The network is responding to our signals, modulating its own energy outputs. It's like watching a conversation unfold in real time." The crew gathered around, witnessing the extraordinary dialogue between their ship and an ancient galaxy-spanning network. The display showed their mathematical queries being met with responses, complex patterns that suggested a form of intelligence, or at least an automated system of incredible sophistication. Elias, feeling the weight of the moment, knew this was just the beginning. Document everything. This isn't just a discovery, it's a first contact of sorts. The mystery of the alien network promised not only to reshape their understanding of the universe, but also to place humanity on a new cosmic map, a node in a network that spanned the void between stars. As the Retribution continued its silent watch, Elias felt a profound connection to the unknown architects of this system, a kinship across time and space that whispered of shared curiosity and the eternal quest for knowledge. As the USS Retribution continued to exchange data with the ancient stellar network, Captain Elias Vance observed the interaction with growing fascination and a touch of wariness. The network's responses were becoming increasingly sophisticated, suggesting a learning capability or a triggered sequence of programmed instructions. "Captain, the network's pulses are synchronizing with our ship's energy cycles," Lieutenant Harrow noted, his voice filled with awe and a hint of concern. He adjusted the frequency graphs on his monitor, which now showed a near-perfect alignment between the ship and the surrounding network. Elias leaned over Harrow's shoulder, observing the intricate dance of light and data on the screen. "It's like it's tuning itself to us. Or perhaps it's tuning us to itself." Commander Flynn, ever the tactician, kept his focus on the potential implications. "We need to consider the possibility of influence beyond communications. This synchronization could affect our systems, intentionally or not." The air in the bridge was charged with a palpable tension, the scent of ozone now mingling with a faint metallic tang, likely emanating from the overworked consoles. Elias's senses were on high alert as he contemplated their next move. "Implement a tiered response protocol," Elias instructed. "Continue the exchange, but increase our diagnostics. I want to know the moment there's any anomaly in our systems." As Harrow and Flynn set to work, Ensign Rowe turned his attention to the external sensors, which displayed a visual representation of the energy field that now enveloped the Retribution. The field shimmered with a subtle iridescence, visible against the backdrop of space, a sight both mesmerizing and daunting. The visual patterns in the field, they're forming structures, almost like language, Rowe murmured, transfixed by the swirling colors that seemed to paint narratives in the void. Elias watched, a sense of wonder threading through his caution. "It's sharing knowledge, stories, maybe even warnings." The bridge crew listened intently as the ship's speakers began to emit a series of low, resonant tones, each note hanging in the air slightly longer than natural as if the sound was being shaped by the environment itself. The tones coalesced into a melody that was both alien and strangely compelling, suggesting communication through music or patterned sound. This could be a form of language, or maybe even art, Harrow speculated, his eyes wide with the thrill of discovery. Elias nodded, deeply moved by the unfolding experience. Record everything. This isn't just scientific data, it's a cultural exchange. We might be the first humans to hear the music of the stars. As the Retribution continued to probe the depths of the network's capabilities, Elias felt a profound connection to their unknown benefactors. The ship and its crew were no longer mere explorers, but participants in a dialogue spanning millennia and light years. Stay vigilant, but remain open, Elias told his crew. We're part of something much larger now. Let's ensure we honor this opportunity. The mystery deepened with each passing moment, drawing them further into a cosmic symphony where humanity's role was just beginning to be written. As the stars outside looked on, silent witnesses to this historic interaction, the crew of the Retribution prepared to delve deeper into the unknown, guided by the rhythms of an ancient galaxy that was slowly revealing its secrets. Immersed in the symphony of ancient melodies that now seemed to resonate within the USS Retribution's hull, Captain Elias Vance watched as the network's pulsations grew more intricate, painting a story not just of a civilization long gone, but perhaps also a cautionary tale. Each note reverberated through the ship, a soft but profound echo that seemed to bond with the very metal and the souls aboard. The patterns are evolving, becoming more complex, Lieutenant Harrow noted, analyzing the shifting displays that now depicted not only auditory but also visual sequences of unprecedented clarity. It's as if we're being led through a history, an education. Commander Flynn approached, his eyes reflecting the light of the data streams. Captain, while we're caught up in this exchange, we need to maintain a watchful eye on our systems. This connection, it's profound, but we mustn't let our guard down. Elias nodded in agreement, his senses alert to the mingling sense of warm electronics and recycled air, a reminder of the ship's constant life support functions. Monitor all systems. If there's any sign of intrusion or override, I want to know immediately. As the crew adhered to his commands, Ensign Rowe, tasked with external surveillance, pointed out a new development. There's a formation of energy outside, aligning with our hull. It's like a shield or a cocoon. Outside the viewport, the space around the Retribution shimmered with a translucent sheen, visible against the backdrop of space. The stars seemed to twinkle through a veil, their light diffused but beautiful. Elias felt a chill as he considered the implications. Is it protecting us or preparing us for something else? The crew fell silent, considering the dual possibilities. The soft vibrations underfoot, the gentle sway of the ship within the energy cocoon, brought a surreal peace to the bridge, as if they were cradled in the hands of a cosmic entity. Harrow continued his analysis, his voice breaking the contemplative quiet. The energy readings suggest a benign purpose, Captain. It's dense, yet it flows like a river around us, enhancing our structural integrity. Let's not make assumptions yet, Elias cautioned, his gaze fixed on the flowing energy patterns that caress the hull. Keep the communication lines open and continue to mirror their patterns. Show that we are here to learn, not to conquer. As the ship floated in this enigmatic embrace, the visual and auditory data converged into a narrative that showcased the rise and fall of a civilization deeply connected with the cosmos. The bridge was bathed in the soft light from the displays, casting long shadows that flickered with the rhythm of alien lore. Captain, there's something forming in the data stream, Flynn observed, pointing towards a sequence that began to repeat with increasing frequency. It looks like coordinates, or a map. Elias leaned closer, his curiosity piqued. A map to where, I wonder? The mystery deepened as the coordinates plotted a course unknown, a path that stretched beyond their current charts. Prepare to log these coordinates, Elias decided, his decision firm. This could be an invitation or a guide to their legacy. As the session drew to a close, the energy cocoon dissipated as softly as it had appeared, leaving the crew of the Retribution with a sense of having been touched by something ancient and infinitely wise. Elias knew this experience would change the course of their mission and perhaps their lives, as they now held a map to undiscovered realms, gifted by a civilization reaching out from the shadows of time. With the enigmatic coordinates now logged and the cocoon of energy dissipated, Captain Elias Vance convened a strategy meeting on the USS Retribution. The air in the room was thick with the metallic tang of anticipation and the fresh aroma of coffee, a stark contrast to the sterile confines of space outside. "We've been given a path," Elias began, his eyes scanning the room, capturing the focused attention of his crew. "The data isn't just a map, it's a legacy, possibly leading us to more of their technology or even their civilization." Commander Flynn, always meticulous in his approach, laid out the tactical considerations. "We need a recon plan. The path could be a boon or a trap. I suggest sending drones ahead to scout the route, ensure it's safe." Elias nodded thoughtfully. "Good. Prepare the drones for a preliminary sweep. I want full spectral analysis and any potential hazards flagged." Lieutenant Harrow, who had been deeply involved in decrypting the alien data, added, "The coordinates lead through uncharted space. This means new celestial phenomena and unknown risks. We should adjust our shields to respond dynamically to environmental changes." "Implement it," Elias directed, turning to Ensign Rowe, who was responsible for navigation. "Rowe, plot a course that allows us to follow the drones at a safe distance. Keep us within range to receive real-time data, but out of immediate danger." Rowe nodded, his hands already moving over the console, plotting the course. "We'll maintain a buffer zone around the ship, adjusting our speed based on drone feedback." As the meeting progressed, Elias emphasized the importance of each step being measured and deliberate. "This journey isn't just physical. It's a passage through what might be a profound chapter in cosmic history. Every observation could expand our understanding of the universe." The bridge became a hub of controlled activity. Harrow and his team calibrated sensors to detect subtle changes in space-time that might indicate gravitational anomalies or hidden celestial bodies. Meanwhile, Flynn oversaw the preparation of the drones, ensuring each was equipped with enhanced communication arrays to withstand the unknown conditions. The ship's chef, sensing the mounting pressure, prepared robust meals, infusing the air with savory and spicy scents, grounding the crew with reminders of earthly comforts amidst their trek into the unknown. As the first drone launched, its journey was tracked from the main display on the bridge. Elias watched, a blend of commander's resolve and explorer's zeal etched on his face. "Keep the communications line open. I want updates every 10 minutes. The drone's data started flowing in, a stream of numbers and images painting a picture of the space ahead. Nebulas, asteroid fields, and the occasional flicker of unknown particles filled the screens, each new site a testament to the untamed wilderness of space. "This is uncharted territory," Elias mused aloud. "Each moment here is history in the making." As the crew settled into their roles, the Retribution glided forward, following the path set out by a civilization whose whispers across time and space had brought them to this threshold. With every pulse of the ship's heart, every breath of its crew, and every sweep of its sensors, they moved closer to discovering not just external worlds, but the internal metal required to face whatever lay at the end of the cosmic trail laid before them. As the USS Retribution continued its cautious journey through uncharted space, guided by the drones sending back real-time data, Captain Elias Vance kept a vigilant watch on the unfolding path ahead. The data revealed a landscape of space more complex and vibrant than any star charts had hinted at. Nebulas pulsating with iridescent colors, asteroid belts that danced to the gravitational symphony of unseen celestial bodies, and dark voids that whispered secrets of the cosmos. "Adjust the spectral filters. Let's deepen our analysis of that nebula up ahead," Elias instructed Lieutenant Harrow, who was coordinating the scientific assessment. The nebula, a vast cloud of gas and dust, shimmered on the main display, its colors shifting with ethereal grace. "Analyzing now, Captain. The nebula contains organic compounds and heavy elements. There might be protoplanetary disks forming inside, Harrow reported, his voice tinged with excitement. The discovery suggested the birth of new solar systems, a profound reminder of the galaxy's ever-evolving nature. Commander Flynn focused on the tactical implications. We should steer clear of the gravitational pull from those formations. I recommend adjusting our course to maintain a safe boundary. Agree. Implement the adjustment, Elias responded, his gaze never leaving the display. Let's ensure our journey isn't cut short by getting too close to creation itself. Meanwhile, Ensign Rowe kept the ship on its newly adjusted course, the thrusters firing briefly to realign their trajectory. The sensation aboard the ship changed subtly with the course adjustment, a silent, almost imperceptible shift that reminded everyone they were traversing a delicate boundary between exploration and safety. The ship's environment systems worked overtime to maintain a balance inside, countering the cold emptiness of space with warmth and recycled air that carried a faint hint of each meal prepared on board, grounding the crew with the comforting smells of home-cooked food. As they bypassed the nebula, the drones relayed images of an object ahead. It was unlike any celestial body they had catalogued before, geometric in structure with surfaces that reflected starlight in patterns that seemed deliberate and encoded. "Elias, look at this," Flynn called out, pulling up the images on the main screen. "That object, it's not natural. It's by design." Elias approached, peering closely at the structure. It could be another relic of the civilization that created the network. Perhaps it's a marker or a beacon. The possibility sent a thrill through the crew, a mix of awe and anticipation at the potential encounter with another piece of ancient technology. "Prepare a probe. We need to inspect that object up close," Elias decided, turning to Harrow. "And keep monitoring the network. If we're right, this could be a significant find." The retribution slowed as it approached the mysterious object. The entire crew tensed for new revelations. Elias felt the weight of their mission more profoundly than ever. Each step forward was a move into deeper mysteries, each discovery a layer peeled back on the universe's ancient secrets. As the probe launched, heading towards the object, Elias and his crew watched, knowing that each moment brought them closer to understanding the grand design of a civilization that had mastered the stars long before humans had even looked up from their blue, ocean-covered planet. As the probe approached the geometric structure, the entire crew of the USS Retribution gathered around the main display, their eyes fixed on the live feed. The object, massive and silent, hung against the backdrop of the cosmos, its surfaces etched with patterns that pulsed faintly with a rhythmic glow. Captain Elias Vance stood at the forefront, his gaze intense, absorbing every detail. "This is what we've been searching for," he murmured, more to himself than to anyone else. "Another piece of the puzzle, waiting here for us among the stars." Lieutenant Harrow adjusted the feed to enhance the visual clarity, bringing the intricate details into sharper focus. "The patterns on the structure, they're similar to the data sequences from the network. It's like a language, Captain. This isn't just a marker, it's a message." Commander Flynn, ever vigilant, kept one eye on the ship's sensors. No signs of any defensive measures or traps. Its seams were welcomed, or at least not discouraged. Elias nodded slightly, feeling the weight of centuries bearing down upon them. "Prepare to download any data transmissions. Let's hear what they have to say." As Harrow initiated the download, a stream of complex data began to flow into the Retribution systems. The ship's main display flickered under the influx of information, then stabilized to reveal a map of the galaxy, vast and expansive, with lines connecting various stars and systems, many of which were unknown to humanity. "These are not random connections," Harrow explained, his voice filled with awe. "Each line could represent a path, a route through the galaxy that this civilization used or explored." Elias turned to his crew, a fierce pride in his eyes. "This is a gift of unimaginable value, knowledge of the galaxy, laid out by those who traveled it long before us. We are not alone in our quest to understand the universe. We are part of a legacy, a continuum of exploration and discovery." The room was charged with a palpable sense of unity and purpose. Each crew member felt it, a bond not just to each other, but to the explorers who had charted these paths eons ago. Elias continued, "This changes everything. Our mission, our goals, even our place in the cosmos. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and we must carry forward this torch with respect, with honor." Commander Flynn looked around, the faces of the crew reflecting the light from the display, their features etched with determination. "We have our heading. Let's plot the course, using the paths they've shown us. It's our turn to blaze these trails." As the Retribution prepared to follow the cosmic map, Elias felt a deep, resonant connection to the vast, mysterious universe. They reached out across time and space, hoping someone would find their marks. And we did. Let's show them, and ourselves, what humanity is capable of. The ship slowly adjusted its course, aligning with the first of many routes on the ancient map. Ahead of them lay the unknown, vast and inviting, filled with potential for wonder and discovery. The stars seemed to nod in approval, the universe itself welcoming them into the fold of its endless mysteries. The journey continued, not just through space, but through shared knowledge and a newfound kinship with the cosmos. As the USS Retribution glided through the star-studded expanse, guided by the ancient cosmic map, Captain Elias Vance stood on the bridge, the light of distant suns reflecting off his determined face. The journey had transformed from a mission of recovery to one of profound discovery, linking them to a network of interstellar paths laid down by a civilization millennia ahead of humanity. "We are not just exploring, we are reconnecting," Elias said to his assembled crew, his voice resonating with the gravity of their experience. "This map is not merely a guide through the stars, but through shared knowledge and history. It's a testament to the resilience and curiosity that drive all sentient beings." Lieutenant Harrow brought up the latest data on the main display, a series of nodes and connections now fully integrated with their own navigational systems. "We've barely scratched the surface. Each of these nodes could represent a hub of civilization, a repository of knowledge, or a beacon like the one we found." Commander Flynn, standing by the navigation panel, confirmed their next course adjustment. "Setting our path to the nearest node. According to the map, it's a system where multiple routes converge. Could be a major cultural or trade center for this ancient network." The crew's anticipation was palpable, each member acutely aware that they were about to step into a chapter of cosmic history unknown to any other human. The air was filled with the scent of ozone, a byproduct of the ship's enhanced engines working in harmony with the alien technology, creating a tangible sense of crossing into new realms. Elias continued, his words capturing the essence of their journey. This civilization, whoever they were, reached out across the galaxy, perhaps with the same hopes and fears that we carry today. They mocked the barriers of distance and time, just as we must. As the Retribution approached the coordinates of the next node, the sensors detected unusual energy patterns, suggesting advanced technology still active, possibly awaiting their arrival. "We are about to make contact with the legacy they left behind," Elias noted, watching the readings flicker. "Let's be worthy of this." The ship slowed as it neared the node, the starscape ahead blossoming with light and activity. Structures, immense and elegant, materialized from the darkness, their designs both alien and strangely welcoming. "We've been expected," Harrow whispered, his voice filled with wonder. "Yes, but as learners, as seekers," Elias replied, his gaze fixed on the view ahead. "We come with respect, with open minds. That's the only way to honor their invitation." The final approach was smooth, the alien systems interacting seamlessly with their own. The ship docked at the designated node, a grand structure that seemed to pulse with life, its lights syncing with the rhythms of the Retribution's heart. Elias addressed his crew, his voice steady and clear. "Today we are not merely visitors. We are part of a continuum that spans the breadth of the galaxy. We carry forward the torch of discovery, not for conquest, but for connection. Let this be our legacy, that humanity can not only reach for the stars, but can also respect and learn from the worlds we encounter." With the ship secured and the system stable, the crew prepared to disembark, stepping not onto new land, but into a new understanding. The galaxy was no longer a frontier to conquer, but a community to join, a cosmic congregation where humanity now took its first, humble steps.